In the past couple of months, I've been working on building a secret DIY skate park. In this video, we're going to be making a quarter pipe with pole coping, something I've never done before. First thing that we need to do is go to the hardware store and get some supplies. So I already have Loctite, we're good to go on our caulking, but this is what you're going to need to apply our cinder blocks together. You want concrete adhesive, doesn't need to be like any specific kind, it really can be whatever. So I think one of the things that discourages me or like really scares me from building DIY spots is like thinking about everything you need, all the supplies, and thinking about the whole project. So instead of doing that, I'm going to piecemeal this. I'm just going to pick up our cinder blocks, and I noticed like there's some that are like 10 cents cheaper, like almost 10 cents cheaper. I'll show you bigger, they're wider, like these ones right here. And let's see, $2.22 a pop. So I think I'm going to get around 18 of them. So start loading them up. Then we're going to take them to the spot. This part of the video will actually show you how to make a ledge. Essentially, that's what we're going to be building. I'm building a retaining wall to build the quarter pipe onto, all sorts of other things that are going to happen. But essentially this stage of the process is pretty much the same thing that you would do if you wanted to build a DIY ledge. Now with that said, I did make a loose plan for how many cinder blocks I might need for how wide and how tall I want my quarter pipe. All right, I got 18 blocks loaded on there. We're going to haul it all over to the spot. I might need more, so I don't want to like bite off more than I can chew essentially. So we're going to do a small load. If I have to come back and get more, it's better off than like lugging everything over there and just like having a panic attack because it's too much to handle. All right, so we ended up paying $42 for 18 cinder blocks. You can get these cheaper on like OfferUp and things like that. I actually looked on OfferUp earlier. I just saw that some of them were broken. They might have been a little bit cheaper, but it was worth it. So, you know, sometimes you got to hurt the bank in order to do the things that you love. If you want to become a channel member, definitely helps support this project. Let's get over and drop those cinder blocks off. So I just realized we have a 96% chance of rain in the next 20 minutes. So I got to get these cinder blocks down here. I did wear my visor. A lot of you have mentioned it. I used to do this quite a lot in previous years to kind of like disguise myself essentially. So I just dropped all our cinder blocks off on the side of the road. Yeah, I'll pick them up and bring them down here. All right, so we got all of our cinder blocks down here. Actually, you don't need to wear this vest anymore. Once you're down here, like nobody can see you. That's the nice part. Just getting all your supplies in here, that's really sketchy. So what I'm gonna do is basically set these up dry, like meaning I'm not gonna put any adhesive on there. I'll show you why in a second. But basically, I'm just gonna line it up where I want the cinder blocks to go. And then what I'm gonna do is take them off. So first thing is first, just kind of lining the blocks up, making sure the ground's good. Like there's some crust on the ground right here, so that's basically what you want to figure out is like, is it level enough right here? Do we need to move it? And how far away from the wall we also want it. We also don't want to cover these little holes. They have these drainage holes over here. So there's a lot to consider when we're doing this. So I think this is the space I want to do right here. There is some concrete on the ground right here that might make it uneven. So that could be problematic. I think we gotta go somewhere else. Something I need to start thinking about in this spot is like how I make it flow, because right now it's just been like obstacle. Now that I have a couple obstacles going, I think I'm gonna shift our location of the quarter pipe of the cinder blocks because I gotta start thinking about the flow of the spot. We actually may go over here. What this is gonna do, if we set up a quarter pipe right here, it's gonna set us up to our other quarter pipe and then our wall ride. So yeah, now unfortunately someone did take our shovel that we had down here, which sucks because that's sort of how I was going to clean up the ground for these cinder blocks. But I think this new spot is going to be good because I don't have to do much ground cleanup. I just got to move our cinder blocks over there. I'm sure to move them straight into the formation of where I want them. What I want to do is lean them up against the wall, not like fully flush against the wall. There's going to be a little room. Obviously this isn't we can move things from here. Now is just to see the space that we're working with, see how wide we want to do it. I have an idea, obviously. I have a feeling we're going to need some more cinder blocks just to get the height that we want. But I think it is still good because it's going to rain here in a little bit. Obviously, I'm not like being super precise where everything goes right now. I'm just kind of chucking it on here, getting an idea. Now that I look at it, I actually like this height. It's not too tall. And I want to keep everything in here at the same scale. All right, I think we have the perfect amount of cinder blocks. 2 more to go just to finish that off. What's that? 3 high. All right, that's our idea right there. Doesn't need to be perfect, but looking good. Now that we have a pretty good idea of what we want to do, we know how wide it's going to be right here. We know how tall it's going to be. Like we have our general formation. Basically, we're just using the cinder blocks as our wall. Then I got to build some form. So what I'm going to do is actually build the wall first, and then I'm going to measure the wall. Then I'm going to build the forms versus like
building the forms and then trying to build the wall, because to me it's like we're obviously somewhat stuck to the size of our cinder block. So now that we have everything laid out, I'm going to clean up the ground as much as I can with just my foot, because I don't have my broom or anything down here. Our supplies got taken, unfortunately, so we'll get some more of that. But yeah, I'm just going to basically take everything off reversely as I did just now and start adding our adhesive. We definitely want to try to keep this bottom area as clean as possible, because we are going to have to add some adhesive to the ground. The difference between like a ledge and a cinder block wall like this that we're building for a quarter pipe is like we're going to be building transition onto it and a lot of other stuff. So I'm not too worried about having too much adhesive on this, because there will be a lot more weight later. All right, let's just foot broom this bad boy out. So this right here, that's my little spatula I'm going to be using to spread our adhesive so it doesn't get clunked into one spot. And you should not be opening your adhesive the way I'm doing it right now. I just don't have anything else. I can't believe my caulking gun doesn't have the opener, and I don't have a knife, so yeah, I'm going rogue right now. It's working, all things considered. All right, got it open. Now, what we want to do is use a little caulking gun. You want to pull this back, pull the trigger, pull it back, set that bad boy in there, and it's starting to rain. I feel it, so let's see how bad this rain gets before. I might have to put my camera in the shade, because I don't want the camera to get all wet. I don't care about getting wet, but I also want to make sure I film this. So yeah, we got to pause. It's about to come down. I mean, it's sprinkling, starting to sprinkle, but it's not pouring yet. I think once it starts pouring, then we'll bail. But for now, yeah, might have to stop recording. Once I get to the point where I can't record anymore, then I'll stop, because kind of defeats the point of this build. I want to show you guys the process. Got a little sprinkle scare. Let's get right to it. So basically, I'm just gonna start pumping this onto here, and like I said before, I'm not gonna be super crazy accurate with it. Just gonna get it down, and you can move it once it's there, but I want to make sure cinder blocks are pretty straight with the wall. Unfortunately, it started pouring rain right as I got all of our adhesive and the caulking out and ready to go, but that's all right. That's how it goes sometimes. You gotta wing it. You still gotta go for it. I think you just have to try sometimes. Even though I knew there was gonna be a little bit of rain today, I risked it. That's all right. We'll come back and keep it going. There's something I gotta show you. This is the downfall of building up this ditch. It's low key, but check it out. Yeah. There's all my supplies there. It's going good right now. It's got a solid incher on there. Yeah. You can see all my bricks over there. Dang it. Now this is why I intended to get all of our cinder blocks down yesterday, but the rain came down too quick, man. So now they're just floating over there. That's what sucks, is like some of that caulking I had already open is gonna go to waste. I think everything will be fine. Normally it takes like 3 days for all of this to clear up. As you can see, it's quite a lot of water. Like, you know, like it's pretty thick. It's rolling. But you know, living in Southern California, you have limited spots on where you can build. And this is one spot that I feel like I can build at, but there's a downfall to it. People always think California must be lucky. It never rains. It does rain. This stuff does happen, but it gets dry so quick. So I think in 3 days, hopefully, if it doesn't pour anymore, we'll be good. Something I do want to point out, and I believed I had this theory before, is but these holes, like, I swear water never comes out of them. Like, they're so jammed up, probably somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe when like really storms, but I never see water coming out of them. It just kind of flows from upstream. There are multiple dishes that do connect to this eventually. I'm bummed right now. I really wanted to get this done today. At least get the cinder blocks down. So yeah, we'll come back in like 2 days. I'll come back tomorrow and see how dry it is, but I'm guessing it's going to be like 3 more days if it doesn't rain. If it continues to rain, we just got to work with it. Just took a little bike ride down here to check on the spot, because it's been insane flooding all over San Diego lately, and our cinder blocks have washed away. That's what it looks like. I don't know where they are. They're probably downstream somewhere. There's a few still there, at least. Yeah, our concrete is definitely done. You can see it's like sand now. We'll use that for filler later, but yeah, things are looking a little hectic right now. Stopped raining for the last 4 days. We've had a couple dry days. Actually, it hasn't been dry. It's been like drizzling every day, but it hasn't been raining, so the flood has stopped. As you can see, I'm down here. There's still some water down here, but I want to see the repercussions after the flood, because San Diego got hit hard. Got it done.
Something I didn't even think about the other day when we came down and got all the cinder blocks after the flooding that were basically at the end of the ditch in the dam is I forgot all about our caulking adhesive. So I just went down and actually found 2 of them. Pretty cool. They're just like in between some rocks. I definitely found some other stuff. I was a little scared walking over there and trying to find everything, but didn't get it all. Found 2, and then I just found our other caulking gun and our adhesive right here. So a little bit of a discovery session. We're back. So that means I have like 3 of these bad boys to hopefully get everything down. Might not be enough, but we'll see where we run out. Might have to go pick up some more. So today I'm just gonna put these cinder blocks down. Let's get straight to it. And then afterwards I just need to let it sit for a second, let all that adhesive dry. Hopefully we have enough. Like I said, I only have 3 bottles, so let's get to it, see how far we go. So our option is to kind of either do a wider quarter pipe, depending if we want to get more cinder blocks. I don't want to get more cinder blocks. I just want to work with the budget we already have. So I'm actually going to do a little bit shorter and a little bit higher versus going longer and lower. So I'm going to go one more up, see how that looks. All right, this looks pretty good. I think this is like one of those steps where it could seem a little redundant or like a waste of time because nothing's really happening yet. I'm just setting things up, but preparation is key when you're doing this stuff because you can't really move it around after you get it down. So this is what I know I want. So I'm just gonna flip everything over, put the adhesive on there that I have. We'll see how far we get and start stacking. I'll show you right now. I'm gonna do a little bit of a formation, and there is like probably like a 3-inch gap in between the wall and the cinder block. Not a big gap, tiny little gap. The reason I have it really small is because I get a little bit of distance, but I really don't have to worry about filling that. I think even if the coping hangs over that, shouldn't be a big deal. We do want to get things pretty straight. Like this dry pack, I didn't really worry about getting things super straight. I just wanted to see how far, how wide, how tall we were gonna go. I'm gonna try to see if we can get away with using some of that caulking that dried up before it rained. I don't know, it might be locked. Oh, it's not locked in there. Oh my goodness. All right, so one thing we're gonna do is stack them actually like this way down, with this open block going down. This is how you would do it for a ledge. You do it like this all the way, then you would cover the top and add the angle iron. The thing is with this one, we're actually gonna flip it sideways. So we have that flat top at the end. So we're gonna do a little bit of a formation. First one, it looks good. I'm adding adhesive to this one and this one. I'll try to do it in like opposite spots so that they marry together. That's how much I put on there. Not a whole lot. You want to try to move it early on. I mean, you want to try to set these cinder blocks right into place, but you can move them. Just want to make sure that they're nice and flush, especially as you start on early. Wear gloves when you're doing this. I have my little spatula tool somewhere. I should probably get that out too. Start plowing through this. So instead of having to like cut it every time, just stick it in there, cuts it for you. All right, that's our last cinder block for the wall. All right, our retaining wall is done. Now I'm gonna make a couple measurements just to see how far these cinder blocks are from the wall. We're gonna go pick up some wood, make some wood forms. Then we're gonna get down to filler and concrete. I'm super excited. This is gonna add some nice flow. The other thing is I wanted this to be like sort of the height, the maximum height. I want everything over here to be like under 3 feet so there's good flow. If everything is the same size, it's gonna be much easier to keep your speed. Just came down to check on the spot because it stopped raining for at least like 3 days. We got some buildup over here. It's definitely still a lot of water. It's not fully flooded. I think this should all be gone in probably like a matter of 3 more days. But yeah, I just wanted to see how bad it really was and check on our wall. Looks like our wall's still here. And it's looking good. It made the storm, which is nice. So this is the cutting area at Lowe's. And if you go to the cutting area, most hardware stores will have this like little extra area. So they have like these one-off small pieces of wood. We don't want to buy a huge piece of wood because for me, A, I have a car, it's gonna be hard to get in. And plus we don't need all that wood. So yeah, $10. Gonna grab 2 of those. They're gonna be our forms for our transition. A local skate park was replacing the pole coping, so lucky enough for me, I was able to grab some of the old pole coping pieces that they removed. I have the pole coping in the back of the truck right now. I'm really nervous because I'm driving as slow as I can, but I have heard some dumps, some bumps. I'm not gonna take them straight to the ditch, but yeah, something to think about. Like, you have to go so slow, and they're fragile. There's no rebar in there. It's just pure concrete. After picking up the coping, I decided to store it under my ramp until we finished the quarter pipe so nobody would steal them since they're worth about $20 each. So I brought some of the wood home that I got from Lowe's, and basically the first thing I did is I brought out the pull coping to see how much deck space we need, because that's where we're going to start from. That's where our forms need to butt up to, essentially. So what I did is use some of my transition forms that I made previously, which I'll show you how to make these in a second. But what I did is basically traced them out onto our piece of form that I'm now going to cut out, and I just bought a brand new jigsaw because my last one was like smoking. My last jigsaw, obviously it's the next day. Yesterday started raining. Every day it's been raining. Today is the first clear day in like 3 weeks. I know I don't want to complain about the weather too much in California, but yeah, I'm just so happy that the weather is finally clear. It's supposed to be clear for at least like 4 or 5 more days. So I want to try to make the forms today and then try to bring them over to the spot tomorrow and then get to our rebar. So one thing I will show you before I start cutting up these forms, which I'll show you in a second why we're going to cut up these forms. We're going to fill them with concrete, but how you make transitions is really important. So right here is basically going to dictate where our concrete goes. This right here is actually a 5-foot transition, but it's only about like 3 feet high. Now, when I say 5-foot transition, what that means is like once it gets to 5 feet, it would be vert. So instead, we're cutting it down. The point is, like, if you make a 3-foot ramp with 3 feet transition, that means at 3 feet, it's gonna be vert, which is gonna make it really hard. I've done this in the past. So I'm gonna have really, really mellow transitions. I'll show you really quickly how to actually make some forms like these so that you know if you wanna build some transitions and how to do them in different heights. This is gonna be like a very basic way. There's definitely a more complicated way to show you how to do this, but just so you get the idea of how the radius of a transition works, what you really wanna do is use a 2x4. If you have a 4-foot ramp that you want to build, you don't want to go up 4 feet. You want to go up however tall you want your transition. There's a lot of different variations. You can kind of play with them. Measure this. I'd go up 7 feet. I'd drill this in, and then essentially I'd move this up, scale it up, and I would trace that. That would make our transitions. I mean, this is a very like high level, basic way of making those transitions. I've made other videos where I show you how to make these kind of forms, but that's basically it. So now what I want to do is use my jigsaw for the first time. I'm so excited, and cut this form out that I traced yesterday. And then once we cut this form out, I'm going to basically trace it on our other piece of scrap wood onto this one. And then from there, we'll have our 2 side pieces. And once you have your 2 side pieces, that's kind of like a good base. We already have the wall that we're going to build up on at the spot. For me personally, I want to like prep all this at home, just get all my forms ready rather than doing it at the spot, because I don't want to be cutting and stuff. It's just like avoids more noise, avoids drawing more attention to the spot. So let's cut up this form, trace this one, we'll cut this one up. I'm just gonna cut it on the side of the ramp. It doesn't need to be too crazy. Let me get my mask so I don't breathe in all the dust. Wait a second. Oh no, I just messed up. Oh my gosh. This is the wall we need. We should be cutting up. Oh no. I just messed up so bad. We need this. All right, I'm not gonna finish this cut. I'm gonna somehow salvage this. Wow, I just realized this is the back part. Ah, dang it. That's all right. That's what happens sometimes when you're building spots or building things in general. You get a little lost in it. I think I was just trying to film and got lost in it. So yeah, we actually need that piece. I'll figure out how to salvage that later. Man, what a rookie mistake. I feel like it's just because it's like finally nice out. All right, let's try that again. Definitely don't want to cut my ramp. Now, as you can see, this is what we were supposed to have. I gotta patch it together, but that's the idea. Now you see, like, this is where the wall, this is kind of our deck. Pole coping is gonna go up here, transitions there. Looking pretty good. I'm gonna trace it. Obviously we made a mistake, but that happens. This is the perfect amount of wood, which is nice because altogether, each one of these pieces was like 10 bucks. So, you know, it's cheaper than buying a huge thing. And it's also like, I don't have the bunch of leftover wood that I'm not gonna do anything with. So I feel like it's less wasteful. Just want to match everything up. Kind of on the back side, the bottom and this edge. And then we're gonna trace that little radius. You could even nail this in to be like more precise, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna make sure this is nice and tight though. All right, now we got both of our transition pieces, which is gonna be crucial just to kind of make that deck and follow our guide. So there it is. The width obviously is gonna depend on our wall that we already made, but I need to figure out how to fix this real quick. I wanna use the smooth side because it's gonna be easier when we break away the concrete. So it is gonna take a few days for the spot to unflood, so I'm still waiting for that water to get out of the ditch, but now at least we got our forms. I got some scrap wood. We got our 2x4, so now we just gotta wait for it to basically drain. We gotta wait for the ditch to drain, stop flooding. I think it will be done in like 2 days and we can go set up our forms. Today we're gonna set up our forms to fill with concrete. Super excited, we got some sunshine. So today is preparation day. We're gonna set up our forms, get everything locked in here. I'm gonna add some filler and basically just get it ready for the concrete. Brought some nails down here, got my 2x4 to kind of keep it in support. First thing is first, we're gonna see how it matches up with the sides, because obviously I did cut these at home, but I did make measurements before I cut them. Just see how they fit in general place. Yeah, that looks good because there's a nice amount of flat space up here, not too thick, but enough to add our pole coping later on, which is really important. Previously, I did show you how I cut this setup for our pole coping, so we know that's enough flat space. Flooding that we got is gonna work to our advantage because we have all these water rocks everywhere, these river rocks. They're downstream, but I got my bucket, so I'm gonna fill them up with my bucket after I get everything in. Got the jigsaw just in case I need to make some cuts. Got our basic nails right here, 3-inch nails to make sure we get through everything. I'm not gonna screw anything in, and I got my gloves. As you can see, it looks like this 2x4 actually isn't long enough, which is totally fine. Oh no, it's the perfect length. So first thing is first, I'm gonna line up our side transitions and try to get this 2x4 nailed in just so we can kind of get this sturdy. Then we're gonna do more. I'm gonna like put some rocks against there, some other weight. We want to keep that transition weighted down. But now you see it, like there's the radius, there's how wide, how long it's gonna be. It's already looking good. I think this 2x4 is gonna be perfect because it'll also avoid our concrete from falling underneath our cinder blocks since we have a little gap. Whoops, it's a little tighter on one side than the other. It's not perfect, but this is DIY. When I say tighter, like in the back, like there's a little more of a gap in certain areas, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. We're not designing a city skate park here. Actually, I'm gonna nail in that side first. And you know, we don't have to do this in place, obviously, but I think it'll make it easier for me. So I'm just gonna get it started before I actually put it in there. Now that I'm down here, the hammering is ricocheting, it's causing a lot of noise. Hopefully I don't have to hammer it in too much. Try to get it all in one try. I'm not gonna do too many nails either. You can use screws, you can use nails. I think I'm just using nails right now because I have a lot more nails. Also, it is easier to remove the forms versus screws because sometimes the screws get locked in with the concrete. Especially for back here, a lot of concrete is gonna sit right here. There we go. Now, I gotta do the same thing on the other side. Should probably sunk this down a little bit lower, but that's right. We're always living and learning in these sessions. Get the other side hammered in there. We do have a little bit of room on each side of these cinder blocks. They're not meeting up perfectly, which is a good thing because then we can hit the side with a little more concrete. Just gonna make it easier in the long run versus it being super flush. Probably stronger essentially. We have more room to fill. Now, as you can see, our forms are on there. It's not super sturdy, but it's good enough. I'll show you later how we're gonna weigh it down here, but nice and sturdy. I'm gonna get one more nail in here and we'll start filling it with some rock. It is a weekday. I've just been so anxious to build here. I get scared on the weekdays. I feel like there's more traffic around here. I hear people on their phones and talking nearby. So I'm gonna take a little break from the hammering, get some rocks and just fill our bucket over here actually. Some river rocks so that we can put them over here. We already got one right here. That actually just washed down when there was a storm. Before I add all these river rocks, actually, I'm gonna use some of that concrete that dried because of the flood, and we'll use that as the base down here. We'll add rocks on top of that, and then we'll add dirt. All right, got our concrete in here that dried up. Now I'm gonna start filling it with the river rock. I definitely want to try to add the rock where there's not too many gaps, you know what I mean? There's gonna be some gaps, obviously. The rocks aren't perfect, but the idea is I kind of want to like fill areas, use the shape of the rock, try not to have too many gaps. And I think it's better to have like some of these smaller rocks than the huge rocks that I could be getting, because the concrete can kind of go around them. Where if you just have huge rocks, concrete's just sitting on them, you want it to like almost be like a rebar effect essentially. All right, that's all I have time for today. Got to get back to work, but I'm pretty happy with it. It's quite a lot of rock we got in there. Next, I'm gonna just add dirt, and then we're gonna add our concrete and then our pull coping. It's already getting its shape. I'm super excited to skate this thing. I need to make sure I pour the concrete before it starts raining again. And it is supposed to rain this weekend, but I don't think it's gonna be like a flash flood. Hopefully it's not too bad. Even some drizzle will be okay, it'll cure it. But yeah, I just don't want all these rocks to get washed downstream. That took me about, a solid hour to get all these rocks over here. So come back in a couple days. Oh no. Someone's scoping me from over there? Whoa. Someone's lurking hard on me right now. If it's a skater, I don't care, but I think they're taking pictures. It just looks like a civilian. One thing you'll notice, there are some new tags over here, and that's the one thing, like, once this corridor starts getting tagged up and there's all these marks, the city's gonna come down here and they're gonna paint it. So what I need to do is try to get this concrete down, get this job done as soon as possible. And the one reason that I haven't done this all in one day is because A, it's one person, it's kind of hard. And the other thing is, like, I will blow out the spot if I do it like on a weekday, essentially, because there's a construction. There's a bunch of like residents that live nearby and stuff. On the weekend, it's much easier. It is a Saturday. They're yelling at someone, so I'm not sure what's going on. But I'm gonna get some more rocks in here, some more fillers. Something I thought about yesterday is actually I need to move that 2x4 down so we have the deck space for our pull coping. So I'm gonna do a couple adjustments. I did bring some of my leftover concrete mortar, stuff like that from my mini ramp build that's just been sitting under my ramp for the last couple months. So first thing is first, I'm gonna get a little more filler and start working on this. But right now I'm gonna take a little break because yeah, this person is just watching me. Once they stop watching me, then I'm gonna start moving, getting to work. I feel a little sketch. I can't tell if they're just like a druggie, a tagger, or like a civilian that's like lurking on me hard. Obviously, when I'm doing this alone, it's a little more risky too. Like if multiple people come down here, it's a little risky. It's been like 15 minutes. I don't see anybody else. I think he's just talking to himself. So maybe he's setting up camp, which is totally fine. I don't care. Like obviously sleeping, finding a place to stay is way more important than building a spot. The thing about it is like, I don't wanna start working on it and then him come over here, start talking, and then like I won't be able to work. And you know how that goes. Like sometimes people just, they want someone to talk to. I don't know how long I'm gonna sit here and wait like this though. Maybe I just leave and come back. All right, well, they're definitely watching me because I moved over here. Yeah, I need to move this 2x4 down so that we can fill this with concrete. I didn't think about it before. I was just kind of, I don't know, trying to connect it. Sometimes you gotta take a step back. One step forward, one step back sometimes. Now we got the 2x4 down on this side. I gotta do the same thing on the other side. So our 2x4 is now kind of sunk down. And you can see we can go flush. And this is kind of floating down here, so I'm gonna work on getting that stable, but I'm gonna add a little more filler. Also, this is the stuff I brought down. It's kind of hardened, but it's just gonna be our filler, so we don't waste more money on concrete. I just wanna get everything leveled out before I bring all the concrete down here. Like I said, I'm doing this by myself, so I gotta be careful. That person is coming over here now. Dang it, I really just don't want to encounter people. I like to just stay focused and work. All right, I'm gonna grab some of our other cinder blocks from our previous build and just push them against this form. Big rock will help too. Just kind of weigh everything down. Our filler dirt is looking pretty good. Nice part about this is like it's not really sandy. It's like thick mud because of all that rain pushed down. Like this stuff's pretty compact. You don't want to use too much dirt. There's a lot of rock in here. The dirt's just to fill it so I can do less concrete. Still got to pick up the concrete. I don't have that yet. I just figure I want to prep everything and then bring the concrete down here. And yeah, next thing I'm going to do is actually use some of this leftover mortar rapid set that I was talking about previously that I used on my ramp that was left over, and kind of do a dry pack. And what that means is I'm going to put some water on it, just dry pack it. So we'll sort of like make this a little bit harder. And I'm trying to make this as easy as possible once I'm mixing the concrete. That's the goal. So I'm just gonna use a lot of my leftover cement from the other jobs. Some of this actually is for pool coping setting. So I might leave some of that just for our actual pool coping, but the idea is just get some of this on here, start getting it hard, and then I'm gonna go pick up the concrete. Probably should have put a mask on. This stuff isn't really great because it has been sitting in water and rain and stuff. So there's some of it still good. As you can see, the plastic bags do protect it even if it does rain sometimes, but it's not good enough to use for the top coat. That's why I'm using it for the filler. The other thing we gotta make sure is like to look at it on the side, because we do need at least like 3 inches of concrete. That's the ideal amount of thickness we need for skateboarding, about 3 inches. So I don't want to add too much because we're going to use this as our leveling line. So everything has to be sunken at least 3 inches underneath the transition. Now I'm going to throw some water on here. I'm not going to go super crazy on the water, just a little bit to kind of get it mixed in there. Obviously you could have mixed this first and then put it on there, but it's sort of, you know, my cheater way of doing it. So I don't have a mixer right now. Now the idea is with this is kind of will hard pack all of our rocks and our mud into place. Now the nice part will be I can go add some more water before we get our concrete. So yeah, prepping is crucial. Now they got it on here. It's not, you know, perfect. The idea is just I want a little bit of foundation before I start putting the concrete on there. There's some concrete in here, but it's kind of like molding all the rocks together. Yeah, this stuff's already hardening up. It's solidifying some things, which is nice. It'll be easier to like push the concrete and screed it too, because it won't be as like, you know, muddy essentially. This will be kind of hardened by the time we get the concrete, hopefully. All right, we're gonna pick up some quickcrete. As you see right behind me, I got a buddy helping me today, so I'm super stoked. I gotta take advantage of that. So we're definitely gonna mix today. We're gonna pour the concrete. I'm gonna get 8 bags, how much I think I'm gonna need. Hopefully, I'm gonna get 1 bag of mortar. We're gonna do the 60-pound bags because they're just easier to move. 90-pound, you do save a little bit of money, but I'm not trying to break my back. Also, I'm gonna grab some of this mesh right here. I don't see any chicken wire, but I think this will be good. It's almost like perfectly wide too, I think. It looks, what does it say? 6.37 feet. Yeah, I think that's perfect because we're 7 feet wide on the ramp, so that will be perfect. 20 bucks. You can use like fencing. The idea is just gonna help us like bond our concrete. Also gonna get a wood trowel because I don't have one. Mine's destroyed. Wood trowels only last so long. They get messed up after a couple jobs. I also need a 2x4 for screeding our concrete. Just gonna get like the cheapest 2x4 I can find, basically. $2? Is that bulk? Is it $2? Yeah, wow. $3 each. Wood is going back down. Thankfully, wood was really expensive during like the last couple of years, especially during COVID. So just want to make sure it's straight. That's the main thing. Doesn't really matter if it's messed up or anything. We want something nice and straight. That should do the trick. It's not super thick, but we're just gonna be using this for screeding. I'm sure we'll use it later on, but it should be good enough. $3. All right, so yeah, 8 bags plus the mortar, so 9 bags altogether. Get our mixing tube and load this up and head over to the spot. Had to bend the rebar to fit it in the car. So because it's too long, you know what I mean? I don't have any clippers, but it's bending pretty good. Wish I had something to cut it with. It actually fits pretty nicely. I can move some of these rocks around even too. Looking at it from the side, like nothing's really poking out. That's good. Yeah. I mean, it's loose, but I think once we put some concrete on there, that's fine. It'll start like weighting down, you know? I'm gonna grab like 2 more like heavy rocks from over there.
Now that we have the metal mesh on the quarter pipe, I started to weigh it down with a few rocks, and my friend Matt luckily had some ties to strap it down to the cinder blocks. Because concrete tends to expand once you start adding into the forms, I made sure to weigh down the side of the forms with some heavy rocks I could find to avoid the forms falling over while we're adding concrete. Now is the fun part of the build. We're going to be mixing on the ground because I have my friend helping me, starting with building a volcano and adding concrete into the center. Then we start mixing in rotation to make sure that we mix all the concrete into the water. Once we have a good mix of concrete, we start adding it on top of our filler, weighing down the mesh in no particular order, but all over the QP. Then we repeat this step over and over until we have everything nice and covered with Quikrete. Now that we have all of our concrete on, I'm going to use a 2x4 to screed up the QP to start seeing where the lows and the highs are. That way we can start shaping the quarter pipe.
All right, that was 7 bags, so yeah, 6 more bags, and we should be good. All right, gonna fill up some more water, and we got some more concrete back here. Free water, you gotta be patient for your free water. It doesn't come fast.
At this stage, we can start using our shovel and 2x4 to start shaping the transition while we add the final couple bags of concrete. Now that we have a nice general shape and all of our concrete is added, we can start using the wood float to start compacting everything into place. Using our magnesium float is going to start bringing all that really smooth concrete to the surface as well as the water and pushing all the rocks underneath. This is the last step before you start using the finishing pull float. Now unfortunately my camera died during the final process of using the pull float to get everything really smooth, one of the most fun steps in the entire process.
All right, now we gotta let that concrete kind of sit for a couple days, let it cure, get it nice and hard, and then we're gonna put the pull coping on there. Right now, what I have to do is actually take all this sort of mortar, the old stuff they use to keep the pull coping on the skate park. I gotta like chisel it off because we want a nice, you know, flat surface when we put the pull coping on there. We don't want it to be uneven. So that's gonna be the next chapter, next step. This is the end of the video. Make sure you're subscribed so you can see the next chapter when we put the pull coping on there and we get a skate session.